Good afternoon, Penn Law Class of 2016. As Dean of the University of Pennsylvania Law School, it is my distinct pleasure to welcome you to the Law School's 167th Commencement Convocation and to serve as your Master of Ceremonies today. Please remain standing for the invocation, which will be delivered by an important new member of the Penn Law community, our Dean of Students, Monica Monroe.
We ask for blessings on us as we gather here to celebrate the lives, the work, and the futures of these men and women. We give thanks for the abilities they have been given and for the love their families and friends have shown to them. We give thanks for the dedication of the many teachers, both inside and outside of this law school, who have helped them grow. We ask for guidance in their lives so that their labors may be fruitful and serve the highest ideals of justice. In the city that was the birthplace of American liberty, we ask that these graduates, and all of us gathered here, are inspired to work for justice, for truth, and for the betterment of this nation and the world. Amen. Please be seated.
Members of the graduating class, parents, families, friends, and supporters, esteemed faculty and staff colleagues, and Attorney General Loretta Lynch, we are thrilled. It is my great privilege and honor to stand before you today. Although new in this role, I am not new to Penn Law, and I've had the great privilege of teaching many of you graduates as 1Ls in large classes. And it's wonderful to see you where you are today. You've done yourselves, your families, and the law school extremely proud. You've faced down exams, bested research papers, and survived the famous Socratic method. And don't worry, I won't lapse back into any cold calling today. Today's a day to celebrate everything you've achieved at Penn Law and to look forward to your extremely bright futures. We all know that now is a time of great uncertainty in our profession. Countless editorials and op-ed pieces have questioned the basic tenets of legal education and the legal profession more broadly in a world that, as our honored guest speaker knows full well, seems to be racing ahead at a pace more rapid than legal change can accommodate easily. With this in mind, let me read you a quotation from a law review article I read last week. The author says, "Technological change also presents a formidable challenge to the legal community. The revolution in technology, that is the quantum jump in the rate of applying new knowledge, has been accompanied lately by a growing feeling that technical developments are often accompanied by harmful side effects and sometimes disrupt legal and social structures, institutions, and established mode of operations. Innovation clashes with our legal systems." We would agree that this quote is apt at times for our modern world. What surprised me when I read it is that this was published almost a half-century ago, in 1967, by a professor named Frederick Lewis. He must have been talking about color TV as the disruptive new technology. But if change was occurring in the legal profession then, it occurs ever more rapidly now. It is a constant for new lawyers that they face a world of uncertainty, fluidity, and change. Each generation before you has risen to this challenge that now becomes yours today. How to update, reframe, and apply the precepts you've learned in law school to renew the law in response to the great societal and technological changes that are occurring all around us. The lessons you will need in this endeavor come both from your law books, yes, but also from your own experiences and values that you brought with you to law school and that you nurtured and developed as part of the Penn Law community. This task of updating our laws for a new age has been the noble task of our guest speaker, Attorney General Loretta Lynch, and has been the project of many faculty members here and alumni in attendance, and today it becomes your task as well. With this in mind, I urge you to keep in mind words written over 2 centuries ago And here I'm going to do something very countercultural in this current era, which is to quote a framer not named Alexander Hamilton. James Madison, in the Federalist 51, explaining the new Constitution and its structures, asked a fundamental question as relevant now as it was then. What is government, he asked, but the greatest of all reflections of human nature? And if we brought in Madison's question to say, what is the law, but the greatest of all reflections on our human nature, we see that whatever area of law you're going into, you're taking up the task that Madison and Hamilton started, that Loretta Lynch is continuing today, translating the basic values and legal propositions upon which our country and other countries are founded on for a modern age where society changes, where technology races ahead. Just like the law then is a human endeavor, just like we human beings, our laws are imperfect. But because our laws in government are created by humans, they are under our control. They are susceptible to change from us, and in your careers, they're susceptible to change, improvement, refinement, contestation by all of you. Your job now is to work toward the long goal that others have of operationalizing the core values of our society, to create a legal system that is more just, more inclusive, more efficient than the one you entered today. There is no end to this project, and it's a big one. We will not form a perfect union, but as our framers said 2 centuries ago, we will strive for a more perfect union, and a more perfect legal regime than the one you enter. At Penn Law, we've long recognized the truism that law is intimately connected to other areas of human enterprise, situated within other fields and the experience and learning that occurs in cognate disciplines to law. The law has always been connected to business, to medicine, to politics, to technology, to social work, and our curriculum and your experience and the expertise of our faculty reflects that recognition. Our faculty, the substantial majority of whom hold advanced degrees in fields other than law, in addition to their law degree, bring those insights into their top-notch scholarship and teaching. And it's reflected in your interests and experiences and credentials that you graduate from here at Penn. 75% of you who graduate today will graduate with a joint degree or certificate from a discipline in addition to your legal degree, somewhere else in the university, fields like business, bioethics, and technology. You know and have demonstrated how the law is connected beyond disciplinary boundaries. You're connected not just with other disciplines, but to the world of human experience in the community of Philadelphia and beyond, and you've shown that through the real-world legal service you've done while at Penn Law. In your work in Penn Law's path-breaking clinics, you've put your legal skills to use serving real-life clients. You've all completed at least 70 hours, in many cases much more than 70 hours, of pro bono legal work during your time at Penn Law. Collectively, over 10,000 hours of work in the community by this class just in the past 2 years at organizations around the Philadelphia community and nationally. So it may not be quite accurate to say, as I and other speakers made today, that you're launching your legal careers today. You've been practicing and working in the trenches on behalf of justice for several years now. If our graduates span disciplines and academic connections and the community, we also span the globe and an increasingly changing and interconnected world. Today, in addition to the award of 257 JD degrees, we will confer 115 LLM degrees, 2 SJD degrees to top lawyers who have come for a year to study at Penn Law from over 30 different countries, from every continent, not named Antarctica, and we're working on that. These students leave us reflecting Penn Law's global reach and the importance of learning from and connecting with other legal systems other than our own. To the LLM class, you have learned while here, but we have learned a great deal from you and the expertise and experience you bring. Our degrees we confer today also represent new substantive directions and new endeavors here at Penn Law. Today, for the first time ever, we award 4 Master of Law degrees in a new program. These Master of Law students have studied here for a year or more. They are leading health professionals and professionals in other fields from across the university who've enrolled at the law school to get a deeper, richer understanding of the way that law affects their professions. And as those of you in attendance who aren't lawyers know, the law affects about every profession, and a knowledge of the law, we believe, ought not be limited to those who pursue the JD. And we're proud to have these students and the connections with those disciplines that they provide in our graduating class. I'll return with the theme now of a changing legal world. You enter this profession at a remarkably interesting, important, and fluid juncture. You have a legal education that will prepare you for wherever life takes you. I urge you to be ready to embrace that uncertainty, welcome it even, and be leery of planning or thinking that you can plan as you sit here today for the eventualities that you face. As evidenced earlier this weekend by the hundreds of talented and eclectically employed alumni who were on campus earlier this weekend, your first job probably won't be your last job. And many of you will find yourself fulfilled by opportunities and career paths that you perceive either faintly at this point or not at all. Be ready to make those transitions. Be ready to find out in your first few years of practice what kind of lawyer are you, what kind of law do you want to practice, and be ready for opportunity when it comes, because it's guaranteed to come, but it's also guaranteed to come at times and places that you can't expect now and that we can't help you plan except by providing you with this rigorous legal and cross-disciplinary education. As you head into this changing world, remember this one constant. You'll be moving on after today, but you are all part of the Penn Law community forever. That doesn't end once you receive your degree. This will always be your law school. As the faculty and staff and alumni with me on stage can attest, you will always have a home here, and we welcome you back through the years and decades into the future. So with all good wishes and good luck, I extend my deepest congratulations to you, the class of 2016. Now let me turn to our student class speakers for this morning. Our first class speaker is the LLM representative, Tarek El Arian. Tarek is an associate at Zaki, Hashem & Partners in Cairo, and partner and co-founder of IRE, the leading import company in Egypt, catering to desert expeditions and adventure sports. He is also the co-founder of the first professional motorsports team in Egypt. Clearly, when I say multi-disciplines, clearly Tarek is connecting law in even new directions there. Before coming to Penn, Tarek received his Bachelor of Law from Cairo University, Giza, in 2011, and a Master of Law from American University in Cairo in 2015. Please join me in welcoming Tarek El Arian.
Thank you, Dean Ruger, for your warm introduction. Assalamu alaikum. It's an absolute privilege and honor to be here today, speaking on behalf of some of the most talented and brightest legal minds in the world, the LLM 2016 class of Penn Law. During exam period, many of you have asked me how my speech was coming along. And I always replied that I would start writing my speech right after exams were over. After all, how hard could writing a speech be? Then one day I was told, Tarek, take care. Writing your speech could prove to be harder than Professor Fish's corporations exam. That day, I went home right away. I stayed up all night writing my speech, forgetting all about my exam the next day, which only served to prove that nothing, absolutely nothing, is harder than Professor Fish's corporations exam. The first day of orientation, listening to Elise list our colleagues' academic, professional, and personal accomplishments intimidated me. How on earth will I compete against these people, I thought to myself. Yet by the beginning of the second week, Alonso had already created our WhatsApp group. And class notes and outlines for Professor Ewald's US Legal Foundations were already being shared on that group. I swiftly realized that I was mistaken in thinking that we are competitors. To the contrary, we are here to work as a team, to help each other, and to elevate each other's thinking. What is better than having the A-League players on your team? Our A-League team promptly grew into a very tightly knit family. This year has passed way too quickly. Looking back, I appreciate that true learning is not only derived from books and classrooms, but from our interactions with one another. Although I know I have learned something from everyone in our class, I would be remiss without calling out a few who have given us unusual lessons. Susanne reminded us all of the many selfless human rights lawyers and activists out there that sacrifice so much for a greater good. Of course, Susanne's leadership skills were not just harnessed for human rights causes, but also in bringing our LLM class together in various instances. Most memorable, of course, through parties at her and Emma's house. Though I can't see the faces of my fellow classmates right now, I know at least 30 of them are praying to God that I don't start telling stories of what happened in Suze's parties. Yuki represented the LLMs in the university's annual boxing fight night. I won't lie to you, I'll be honest. All of us encouraged him to his face, while at the same time, behind his back, placing bets on the amount of teeth he's going to lose during his fight. As it turned out, Yuki absolutely destroyed his opponent in the ring, making us very proud and giving us ample material for teasing our friends in the MBA program, which, by the way, take competition way, way too seriously. Our Bella Niñas Latinas, confirming to the world that stunning beauty and incredible intelligence are not contradictory, yet complementary. Although today is about our accomplishments, none of us would have been here today without the unconditional love and support of our families. By the way, today is my mother's birthday, and I didn't say happy birthday until now. So happy birthday, Mama. We also wouldn't be here today without the commitment of the faculty and the support of all the legal and educational institutions we have attended prior to Penn Law. Thanks to everyone who has inspired us throughout our lives, we are privileged to be here today. Many of us have come here with our partners, requiring them to leave behind their jobs, their careers, their friends, their families, their comfort zones, basically asking them to leave everything behind. Others have had to leave their partners back in their home countries, bearing the burden of long-distance relationships throughout this year. Some of us have even lost family members during our year here, unfortunately, and did not have even the last chance to say goodbye to them. Teta, Elba, Judith, and others, we know you're looking down on us right now, and we know you're very proud. On a brighter note, we even welcomed 4 babies into the world during our LLM year. June, Mansour, Trinidad, and Ori. To our partners and families, we sincerely thank you. The support and welcoming attitude of the Penn Law faculty and staff has been an essential aspect of our growth and experience here at Penn, one of the world's top educational institutions. The incredible professors have left their marks on us with their inspiring stories and their humble attitudes. Though I need to be perfectly honest, some of them were really, really scary. The university staff, the registrar, the Students' Affairs Office, Admissions Office, and the Career Planning Office were there for us each step of the way, helping us and during our questions, our worries, our anxieties, and everything in between. It has been the utmost honor to be part of this prestigious community. I look forward to soon returning to my beautiful country, Egypt, to do my part and contribute to the country's economic growth and further the development of the rule of law. And I know I'm not alone. All of us will return to our countries of origin, ready to apply the lessons, experiences, and relationships we have learned here at Penn to make a difference. To everyone here today, not only the students, to everyone here today, be grateful for the education you have received. Remember that there are hundreds of millions of people around the world who do not have the privilege of getting an education altogether, let alone an Ivy League education, due to wars, poverty, child labor, corrupt governments, and many other deprivations and depredations. Count your blessings and thank God and pray for a world where everyone has the right to a decent education. LLM class of 2016, congratulations to all of us. We made it. It's been an incredible year, a year we will never ever forget. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tarek. Thank you for that terrific speech. And now allow me to introduce our JD class president, Kevin Dermody. Kevin is a graduate of the University of Scranton, and today he will be receiving a JD from us and a Wharton Certificate in Management. As a Penn Law student, Kevin served as development editor for the Law Review, and if you don't know him from class or the Law Review, you may know him as one of the biggest boosters of Penn Law sports, the Penn Law Flag Football League, vice president of the Penn Law basketball team, and coach of the Penn Law team, our inaugural Penn Law team, in the annual Dean's Cup basketball tournament. More to the point of today's celebration, as class president, Kevin led the election process that produced the landslide choice among you to invite our Attorney General to speak. And Kevin, along with Miriam Archibong in your class, were the student leaders instrumental in reaching out to the Attorney General and selecting and reaching out to her for speaking. So we can thank Kevin and Miriam and all of you really for the overwhelming choice of our graduation speaker. In a world where so many of you take your talents elsewhere, I'm glad to say also that Kevin will be staying in Philadelphia for his job this fall, joining Fox Rothschild as an associate. Please join me in welcoming Kevin Dermody.
Thank you, Dean Ruger, for that nice introduction. And thank you to Attorney General Lynch for joining us today. We are honored by your presence. As I begin, I would just like to apologize to the LPS faculty because this speech is not written in proper CREAC format. Today marks the culmination of our 3 years of accomplishments at Penn Law. What began 992 days ago, not like I've been counting or anything, has now come to a wonderful conclusion. And while we have exceeded expectations and achieved great success, we did not accomplish any of this alone. Without all of you in attendance here today, our accomplishments would not have been possible. First, to everyone who makes Penn Law run, from Dean Clinton to Dean Monroe, Dimitri and Julie in Student Affairs, the library staff, CP&P, the registrar, TPIC, and the custodians and security guards. Thank you for making Penn Law a place where we could thrive. Second, thank you to the professors who challenged and inspired us in the classroom and in life. You opened our minds and trained us to become some of the greatest lawyers this world will ever see. A special thank you to the professors who had so much confidence in us that they actually believed we could read 200 pages in a single night. But most importantly, thank you to everyone who is here today because you have a loved one who is graduating. Whether you are a parent, spouse, significant other, sibling, relative, or friend, I speak for the entire class of 2016 when I say thank you. Without your love and support, we would not be achieving our dreams today. I know personally that I would not be graduating if it were not for my parents, my girlfriend, and my late grandfather. My girlfriend's baked goods were a key to my success in law school. And my parents' unconditional love and encouragement picked me up and supported me whenever I felt that law school had defeated me. I know that each of my classmates has someone who played this same pivotal role for them during these past 3 years. Law school would have been immeasurably more difficult without you. We will be forever grateful for the compassion and support that you showed to us during those difficult times. Now, class of 2016, in less than 30 minutes, we will walk across this stage and graduate. After countless hours of studying, hundreds of slices of free pizza, gallons of coffee, and several rough mornings after bowling and bar review, our time has arrived. Some of us have been looking forward to this day since our first Civ Pro lecture of 1L year, while others are probably still wishing that we were 3Ls on the dance floor of Howl at the Moon. Regardless, I know we will all miss the constant Facebook notifications and thousands of daily emails from Student Affairs. This time of transition can be filled with anxiety and trepidation about what the future has in store. Most of us will be leaving Philadelphia and starting new journeys next year. We will be joining the most prestigious law firms, nonprofit organizations, and government service positions in the entire world. You may be apprehensive about all these changes and the expectations that come with them, but I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't be. Think back to our orientation of law school. Whether you came from White House, Texas, the suburbs of Philadelphia, or good old Scranton, Pennsylvania, you had just moved to a new city and were about to undertake 3 years of rigorous academic study. You were probably nervous. I know I was. Now think how far we have come and all we've accomplished. During law school, we have made an impact not only on the Penn Law community, but also on the global community around us, all while achieving an Ivy League education. For the past 3 years, we have selflessly worked to serve others. We have helped Syrian refugees, and we have mentored underprivileged youth in Philadelphia. In total, we have completed over 30,000 hours of pro bono service. We also excelled at winning. We won national championships in mock trial and international moot court. We won cases for our clients at both the state and federal levels. We won intramural championships in basketball and football. We beat Wharton in hockey, and we crushed them in fight night. And I'm pretty sure Above the Law is going to rank us as the best-looking graduating class in the country. We've achieved great success here at Penn Law and made quite an impact. But this is just the beginning, and we have much more to accomplish. Go confidently into the world and know that you will always have the support of Penn Law behind you. I'd like to conclude with some advice from Pope Francis, who visited Philadelphia during our 3L year. Continue to commit yourself deeply. Transcend yourself to serve others. Immerse yourself in this complex world. Step back for daily reflection, live fully in the present, and help create the future. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Kevin. And thank you for enlisting your class's sporting accomplishments, leaving out the fact that you trounced the faculty in the softball game earlier this week. Speaking of the faculty, and not speaking of our softball ability, one of the enduring strengths of Penn Law is the brilliant and committed faculty we have. We are extremely proud of them generally, and proud today to announce this year's Faculty Teaching Awards chosen by the graduating students in both the JD and LLM classes. First, the Harvey Levin Award for Teaching Excellence will be presented to Professor David Rudofsky by Sierra Shear. Then the LLM Award for Teaching Excellence will be presented to Professor Jill Fish by LLM Class President Stefan Hadi. And finally, in something that warms any dean's heart, the Class of 2016 gift will be presented by Max Goodman and Callie Kim. Please welcome Sierra.
I'm excited to present this year's Harvey Levin Award for Teaching Excellence to Professor Rudofsky. It is no surprise that our class chose Professor Rudofsky as this year's recipient. He is both a celebrated teacher and an inspirational role model. Not only will I never forget the perplexing hearsay rules from Professor Rudofsky's evidence class, I'll never forget his words on the last day of class, urging us to use our legal education in the pursuit of justice and truth. Thank you, Professor Rudofsky, from the class of 2016.
Thank you very much. It's a truly rewarding honor. I appreciate the compliments. I sometimes don't recognize that they fit the person that's standing here, but I take it with all goodwill. Seriously, this is a very special award, given the commitment of this entire faculty to excellence in teaching and the extra efforts of so many of them on this stage in enriching your academic experience. To be selected among this group is truly an honor. The teaching process is a two-way street. You will continue to learn with less formal teaching in the future, more from experience, with insights often from unpredictable sources. You should continue to be open and skeptical. There's nothing wrong with deeply held values. Indeed, much to be said about them. But that is not incompatible with a willingness to consider and debate divergent views. And you too will be teachers, if not in the formal sense, in the way you communicate with your colleagues, your clients, and even your adversaries. Finally, one word of advice and encouragement. As lawyers, you hold a privileged position. And with that status, I think, comes an opportunity not only to do well, which you will all do, but to do good. In the legal field, that may involve a number of matters, but to me, expanding access to justice for those shut out of our system of justice is a paramount need. You have done this at law school, and I hope you continue to do so. I wish for your excellence, success, and meaningful work, and thank you very much.
LLM Award for Teaching Excellence is a special award where the LLM were given the opportunity to vote for Penn Law professor who, during our LLM, showed great character and excellence in teaching. This award is so special because LLMs are the best people from more than 30 countries around the world. So I will not hesitate to say that this award is a kind of global recognition for the professor who received the award and for Penn Law itself. Professor Jill Fish is a great professor of our time. I can assure you that. Many of us LLM have already mentioned her name even before we started our regular semester. We call her a professor who is legend, wait for it, dairy. No wonder that many of her courses were the top target for us international students. Most notably are corporations and corporate governance. It is true that now we can sit here, we have a good knowledge about corporations, and even some of us went to Frankfurt, Germany, and with the help of Professor Fish, did a very good job representing the good name of Penn Law. But was mastering corporation a simple process? Unfortunately, no. Imagine this. Many of us LLMs speak different language in our daily life. We come from different culture. And yet, we were faced by a very complicated doctrines and cases about corporations. How did we manage to survive that? That's where Professor Jill Fish's greatness came to our life, because she could channel all those complicated knowledge into this universal language that we call care, dedication, and discipline. And finally, as the president of LLM 2016, on behalf of my friends, my family, my colleagues, I proudly present LLM Award for Teaching Excellence to Professor Jill Fish.
I'm so embarrassed. Our Penn Law LLM students come here with a difficult challenge. They have to learn all about the US legal system. They have to learn how to study at a US law school. And they face really demanding classes. And I was thinking intellectual property and securities law, not really corporations. And all of this, of course, for most of them, in a language that's not their mother tongue. That they succeed so brilliantly is a testament to the strong skills that they come here with and the hard work that they put in while they're here. Congratulations, you guys have done great. It's a great honor to receive this award, and it's a great honor, I feel funny with my back to them, it's a great honor to have all of you in my classes, not just for what I'm able to teach you, but for what you teach me. These LLM students come here as trained lawyers, and they bring to the classroom their home country knowledge, their culture, and a fantastic energy. But they don't just teach us about their home country law. In the class, they teach us about our own legal system. As you guys study US law, you give us a different perspective. You open our eyes to the strengths and the weaknesses of the United States and U.S. law in a global society. For this and for this award, I'm humbled and grateful. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Max Goodman, and this is Callie Kim. We are 2 of the 4 elected class officers. One of our main responsibilities this year was to fundraise for the annual class gift.
So why do we have a class gift?
Why do we have a class gift? We had something for this. We rehearsed, I had a muffin, it was great. Seriously, we have a class gift because it's a chance to not only give back to the law school that has given us so much, but to leave a lasting mark upon the school that will benefit future students.
We're proud to announce that our class gift is brand new luxury seating for the library. We are a practical class. All of us have worked countless hours in the library, so we know just how necessary this new luxury seating is. We want to sincerely thank the 111 student donors that contributed $3,700 to our class gift. These students have given back to Penn to show their appreciation for the unique academic experience Penn has given us.
We would also like to thank Rick Davino of the class of 1980 for his generous contribution to the class gift. Rick graciously pledged to match every individual donation with his own donation of $20.16. Rick has a long history of supporting Penn Law, and we are grateful for his generosity. Thank you, Rick.
Congratulations, everyone, on this momentous achievement. It's been a pleasure to serve as your class officers, and it's been an honor to be your classmates. Thank you.
Thank you, Max and Callie. Thank you to the entire class of 2016 for this gift you've given to Penn Law. We know, and one thing we've emphasized, and you've heard from us during your time at Penn Law, is the importance of public service. This is something we've long championed at Penn Law, and many of you have already begun your engagement with the public and public interest through pro bono work, through the clinics, through representing underserved clients in externship settings. I know that many of you are heading into private practice with law firms, as well as many of you into the public interest. And our next 2 speakers, Attorney General Loretta Lynch and U.S. Attorney Wilfredo Ferrer, exemplify something I said earlier, that your first job is not necessarily your last job. And indeed, many of our best leading lawyers have merged private practice and government service over the course of an eminent career. These lawyers have navigated both the public and private sectors, and we are grateful to hear from them today. As our speaker, we have one of the most prominent attorneys in the United States today, the Attorney General of the United States, Loretta Lynch. It is our great privilege to hear from her about the pressing legal issues that face our nation across a range of disciplines and pressing legal problems. Attorney General Lynch began her career in public service after a time in private practice. She came into the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of New York in the 1990s. And in 1999, President Bill Clinton appointed her as U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District in Brooklyn. After going back and working in private practice, where she did, among other things, pro bono work for the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda, Attorney General Lynch was asked by President Obama in 2010 to resume her leadership of the U.S. Attorney's Office in Brooklyn. And then, in April of 2015, Loretta Lynch was sworn in as the 83rd Attorney General of the United States. As is evident in the news every week, Attorney General Lynch is working tirelessly in service of the noble task I spoke with you about earlier, namely updating and translating our fundamental and enduring constitutional commitments of equal treatment and fair process to a changing society and an uncertain world. Attorney General Lynch, we are truly honored by your presence today, and we look forward to your words. But I must note one blemish on your otherwise stellar CV, and it's a blemish that appears on my resume as well. We both chose the wrong law school, that big impersonal one up in Cambridge. That's okay. It was a perfectly defensible choice in the 20th century when we made it. But I'm glad, and indeed have asked to help welcome and introduce you, one of your current Department of Justice colleagues, and a leader in the department himself, who made the right choice of law school almost 3 decades ago, and that is our own 1990 graduate, Wilfredo Willie Ferrer, the U.S. Attorney of the Southern District of Florida, our nation's 3rd largest U.S. Attorney's office. A native of Miami, Willie graduated first in his class from the University of Miami before he came to Penn Law. While here, he was an editor of the Law Review, was president of his class, and Tarek and Kevin beware, he was the graduation speaker as well in 1990. We looked for that speech, Willie, and you'll be glad to know couldn't find it. Like the Attorney General, Willie has merged private practice in his career with public service and did work in private practice in Miami before coming to DC to serve as Deputy Chief of Staff to Attorney General Janet Reno, and then working as an Assistant U.S. Attorney in Miami before, in April of 2010, being appointed by Barack Obama to be the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida. So please welcome back, to help us welcome the Attorney General and introduce her, please welcome back one of our own stars, graduate Willie Ferrer.
Thank you very much, Dean Ruger, and I see that you received my mom's script. That's awesome. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to my beloved Penn family, and congratulations to all you graduates. I still can't believe that it's been 26 years since I sat in your seats. And I am thrilled and honored to be here back in my home, in alma mater, and to get to introduce Attorney General Loretta Lynch. And I feel absolutely no pressure whatsoever having to be here and present my boss and the Attorney General of the United States of America. You know, I think it is absolutely fitting that we have the Attorney General here at Penn Law School. Because for those of you in the audience who may not know, we've talked about public service, but Penn Law was among the first institutions in this country to require its students to perform at least 70 hours of public service. Penn Law was a trailblazer in this area. And I had the incredible fortune to be able to work with the faculty when I was in Kevin's shoes when this initiative was created back in law school. And I will tell you that my experience in Penn Law helped shape my career in public service. I am so happy that you gave Professor Radofsky an award, because I had you. You were my teacher. I don't know how I did. I don't remember, but I did my best, Professor Radofsky. You were great. I always knew that going to Penn Law was one of the best decisions that I ever made in my life. Did you hear that, Attorney General? Penn Law gave me, a son of Cuban immigrants, who really didn't have much growing up, who didn't learn how to speak English until the 2nd grade, an invaluable and life-changing education and opportunity. Penn Law fortified for me the lessons that my parents taught me when I was a kid, that immigrants actually add immense value to this country. The lessons that my parents told me, that there is nothing you can't not accomplish with hard work and optimism. And as my mom said, we did not come to this country to sit on the sidelines, but to get involved and make the community better. Those lessons learned here at Penn Law and at home are the only reasons that I get to stand up here and tell you how much I love to be able to serve this country and my community in South Florida, and to be able to work with Attorney General Loretta Lynch. And to tell you that working at the U.S. Attorney's Office has been a blessing, because I get to use the law to do good, to protect people's rights, and to try to make our neighborhoods safer. And it was during my job at the Department of Justice that I met a true champion of the law. I met a leader among leaders when it comes to protecting people's rights and when it comes to public service, Loretta Lynch. And the president couldn't have said it better when he introduced her as his nominee. And he said, "The law is her map, justice her compass. She is tough, but she is fair. Her intelligence and her judgment, her grace under fire, have earned the trust and admirations of all of those who work with her and who she serves." Loretta Lynch has spent her life fighting for fair and equal justice that is the foundation of our democracy. Incredible words. He also said that she's probably the only lawyer in the United States that battles mobsters, drug lords, and terrorists and still has a reputation for being a charming people person. And she is. And I will tell you that having and I call it a blessing, to be her friend, to have worked with her for so many years, to observe her, the president got it right. She is a genuine advocate for justice. And all you have to do is watch what she did on the first day of her job as Attorney General when the Baltimore riots erupted after the police shootings. And the Attorney General got up and went right to Baltimore and met both with the victims' families and with the police officers, giving them equal treatment and observing as to what was happening. And all you have to do is watch what she did just last week when she stood up for transgender rights and told America, justice for all means justice for all. When you witness that, you witness somebody who leads through their principles and their values. And I will tell you, that is a powerful thing to witness. Don't just take my word for it. I actually took the liberty of asking a lot of our other U.S. attorneys around the country to give me a word or a phrase or something that would describe her. Sorry, Madam Attorney General, I can't reveal my sources. Some of those words and phrases were inspiring, unflappable, courageous, the FIFA slayer, just steel wrapped in velvet, and finally, a rare combination of a keen intellect, devotion to the ideal of justice, and a heart that makes her as good a person as you will ever meet. I think you get the picture, ladies and gentlemen. With Loretta Lynch at the helm of the Department of Justice, a department that is charged with protecting our rights and with the equal application of the law, it is in good hands. So my Penn Law family, please join me in welcoming my boss, my friend, our inspiration, the 83rd Attorney General of the United States of America, Loretta Elizabeth Lynch.
Penn Law. How are we doing? Thank you so much for that warm welcome and for having me here today. Let me thank you also, Willie, clearly a proud Penn graduate, for that wonderful and warm introduction. And let me also thank you for your outstanding service to the American people. You are a true leader and champion. And when we were U.S. attorneys together, I can't tell you how many times I looked to your example of service and community involvement as an inspiration for the things that all of us in the U.S. attorney community were charged with doing. And Willie, let me also share with you that when it comes to revealing sources, I do have the ultimate subpoena power. I will find out. I thank you that, and I'm so proud to call you a colleague, but even more prouder to call you a true friend. Let me also thank Dean Ted Ruger for his kind words, for his outstanding leadership of this venerable institution, and for the welcome that he has shown me since I've been here today. He's talking to me about his first year at Penn, and I have to say, even though we've just met, his pride in this institution and his pride in all of you graduates, it is so strong. It came through so clearly. You are truly fortunate to have him as your dean because he is living for this institution. And I think I can say without reservation that every graduate here, JD, SJD, LLM, is in his heart as well. To the faculty, the prizes that were awarded, I think, are emblematic of Penn's commitment, not just to service and teaching, but to the well-being of students and the fact that the students, both JD and LLM, think so highly of their faculty. To award them prizes with such glowing words and warm recommendations speaks highly of the entire body of faculty here. So thank you all for welcoming me as well. And of course, the family members and friends who've come to celebrate with the graduates. It is so wonderful to see you here because, as has been said by one of our esteemed speakers, without your support, this event would not be happening. You send your loved ones to a venerable place of learning, and you hope that place will see in them what you see, their talent, their intellect, their beauty, their true heart, and you hope that place will nurture it and will let them bring forth the best of themselves. And it's a tremendous act of faith for you to do that. And so for all the family members and friends who are here today, let me salute you as well. And of course, the class of 2016, the outstanding class of 2016, the JD graduates who bring back memories, I think, for all of us in this wonderful profession of ours, of that day when we first crossed the line from student to lawyer, as well as the LLM and the SJD graduates as well. You all show that learning does not end, even as you go through this profession. And so that's actually a lesson for all of us. Class of 2016, I'm so proud of you as well. Now, this is such a time to reflect on how much you have to be proud of. Obviously, you're graduates of one of this nation's finest universities, training minds both here and abroad to contribute to all walks of our legal profession. You have done so much to get to this moment. I'm sure if I had time to sit and talk to you, you would tell me about the lectures, the papers, the study groups, the endless hours of preparation for the exams. And along the way, your abilities have been tested, your assumptions have been challenged, and exactly what is supposed to happen to you has happened. Your view of the world has been expanded, it's been refined, it's been enriched. And I will tell you now what I hope you know, that you have likely learned as much from each other as you have from your professors. The study of the law is a wonderful thing, and to see it through another student's eyes can be as illuminating as the best lecture that there is. Now, I also know that your record outside the classroom is stellar. On-campus recruiting, your summers at firms, at government agencies, nonprofits. You've contended for the Keynote Cup. You've competed in moot court competitions throughout the country, showing the world what Penn does to refine the grace and strength of its students. Now, I understand that there was a boxing match with Wharton. But you've also edited and published 5 prestigious legal journals, including the nation's oldest law review. And, as been noted, most remarkably of all, every single one of you has completed 70 hours of pro bono work. Over 90% of you have done even more. This outstrips the practicing bar. This is a tribute to this class's spirit of generosity and commitment to service and desire to make a difference. And as much as the refurbishment of the library, it is truly your gift to this institution, to the legal profession, and to all those who need your help, whom you found time to serve. And as someone who has found profound fulfillment in public service, I thank you for that. I thank you so much for starting at this point in your career with that connection to what makes this profession so wonderful. I am so in awe of all of you. You represent this country and the world. 3 years ago, you came to Penn representing 35 states, the District of Columbia, countries as near as Canada and as far as New Zealand. And you brought with you a range of perspectives and your own incredible experiences. I'm so impressed also to learn of what path you took before you came here. It's a path that will never leave you. You were students and teachers, activists, advocates, entrepreneurs, executives. Your ranks include, I'm told, a rabbi, a professional hockey player, and a trapeze artist. And I can only hope that at some point you did walk into a bar together. Now, when you came here the fall of 2013, which I know seems like just yesterday, you came as strangers, and today, after 3 years of studying, of thinking, of writing and arguing, and even pumpkin carving side by side, it's clear, just from the interaction that I've seen today between all of you and from your colleagues on this stage, that you're leaving as friends, as colleagues, as partners in the law. You are entering a wonderful profession. It's going to call on all your skills. It will call on your intellect, but most importantly, it will call upon your heart as you contribute to its ranks. In just a few moments, you will receive the degrees that you came here to earn. And in doing so, you will not be merely collecting a credential, you'll be accepting a responsibility that is quite literally stamped on your diplomas and the motto of this great university. I know you know it. Laws without morals are in vain. And that motto is a reminder that on their own, the law is simply an instrument. Laws can be used to protect rights. Sadly, they can be used to suppress them. They can nurture fairness, or they can perpetuate inequality. They can shelter the interest of a privileged few, or more gloriously, they can improve the welfare and well-being of all. And of course, not just history, but recent memory has stark reminders of times when the law has been used as an instrument of oppression. The law, our beautiful collection of laws, has been used to keep us down. Here in this country, our original sin was written into our founding documents as a matter of accepted fact. Jim Crow, it's more than a minstrel song. It was a system of laws specifically written to disenfranchise African Americans both politically and economically. And even today, we see attempts to legislate away, to use the law, to strip away the protections that so many people fought and died for. The right to vote. Indeed, even the need and the right to be free from discrimination itself. But one thing I want you to take away from your experience and from this day is the law is truly the instrument of the people. And what tilts the scales one way or the other are the morals and the convictions of the people who create, the people who interpret, the people who execute and apply the laws, a group that now includes all of you. And each of you can and has read statutes. Each of you can and has applied cases and marshaled facts into a persuasive argument. And no matter how you feel about stepping into the great unknown, know this, each of you can practice law. But the question for you now and throughout your career will be, can you hold justice in your hand? And wherever your path in this great profession of ours takes you, service to the judiciary or the academic career, helping to structure our economy, or standing in the arena of the courtroom, one of my favorite places, my wish for you, my charge to you, is that you do not just practice law, but that you find a way to hold justice in your hands. Now for me, this has been the driving force of my own career. And I've thought about this since I was young. And in fact, it comes from a story that my father told me one time when I was young, growing up in North Carolina. My father's a fourth-generation minister in our family. My younger brother's a fifth generation. And his father before him, my grandfather, was the third generation. And my father was telling me about my grandfather who died when I was very, very young. He lived in a farming community, eastern North Carolina. My grandfather had a 3rd grade education. He had 8 children and no money. And he was a farmer, but he didn't own the land that he worked. He was a sharecropper, which meant that he worked for someone else. And there were times when he and my older uncle, my father and his older uncles and my grandfather would work and work and work. And sometimes the person who owned the land would decide not to pay them. He told me that story and how my older uncle got so angry one time that he wanted to confront this farmer. And my grandfather and my father and his brother said, no, we can't do that because we need to work for him again. So they were definitely at the economic dependence of those landowners in the community, a power structure, as it were, at the time. But my grandfather was not just a sharecropper, he was also a minister. And he became a pillar of the community. He built a church right next to his house. He called it Lynch's Chapel. That's what you do when you build your own church. You name it after yourself. But he served not just my family, but his neighbors. And he earned their respect and their regard, and most importantly, he earned their trust. Now, as you can imagine, rural North Carolina in the 1930s, it was not the easiest place to be poor and black, but it was their place. But on a dusty road in the dark of night, there was no rule of law. It didn't take much if you got in trouble to run afoul of that system and all the rights that you studied and that we now take for granted as part of our system. The right to a speedy trial, the right to a jury of your peers. These were just words on paper. These were the days of Plessy v. Ferguson. That was the precedent that guided this country at that time. Yes, in America. Martin Luther King Jr. was a child. Ernesto Miranda would not even be born for another 10 years, and Clarence Gideon would not petition the Supreme Court for another 30. And with so much discrimination and fear in the air, and with little recourse to justice, to the processes that we take for granted as the birthright of every American and the right of all who come here. In the 1930s, many African Americans who ran afoul of the law decided that their only option was literally to leave because they could not be assured of the fundamental fairness that were put down in the documents written not so very far from here. And on several occasions, those people who made that decision, that difficult decision to leave town, did so with the help of my grandfather, their minister. And even though he was dependent on that power structure to hire him, literally to put food on his table, and even though the law said that the people who were coming to him may in fact have done wrong and deserve punishment, he'd go out of his way to hide them and keep them beyond the law's reach. Now, of course, the other salient fact about a small rural community in North Carolina in the 1930s, and frankly even now, everyone knows everybody. So there were many times that my father would remember when he was a young boy in the 30s, that the sheriff would come to the house and knock on the door and talk to my grandfather. His name was Augustus Claude Lynch, and he would call him Gus. He'd say, "Gus, I'm looking for so-and-so. Have you seen him?" And my grandfather would say, "Well, I haven't seen him lately." And my father and his siblings knew that so-and-so was actually hiding under the floorboards or hiding in the closet, likely listening to this exchange. Now, when I heard the story when I was young, I would ask my father what he thought about it. And he said, well, my grandfather was doing what he thought was right. And that left a profound and lasting impression on me because really, on one side, you have a man of integrity, someone I love very much, my grandfather, a man of God, who was in fact trying to do what most of us would recognize as the right thing, the just thing, but standing in direct opposition to the law. On the other side was the sheriff, who represented the law, but certainly did not represent justice. And hearing about this at a young age made it clear to me that the presence of law does not always guarantee the presence of justice. That has to be fought for. That has to be earned. That has to be created and managed and nurtured in the hearts and minds of those who've taken on that responsibility. In other words, by all of you. As it says on your diplomas, laws without morals are in vain. And what I took away from that story was that each of us, every single one of us, whether we're in this wonderful profession of ours or in some other, has an obligation to make justice real in this world however we can. And as a prosecutor, I have continued to hold on to that purpose, to hold on to that calling, to try and listen to what my grandfather was saying and what he saw, and to make real the promise of justice for those coming through our criminal justice system. Because my grandfather was willing to risk his livelihood and that of his family, and perhaps even his very life, for that ideal. And how can I ever reach for less? All of us can practice law. How can we hold justice in our hands? Now, of course, we've come a long way since the 1930s. Our laws protecting our civil rights, our environment, the important principles of economic fairness represent the progression of this country. And it's a great progression, and it's a beautiful progression, and we are the better for it. My father, who's now 84 years old, has gone from a world that barely recognized his humanity, and certainly did not do so in a legal sense, to a world where his only daughter is the 83rd Attorney General of these United States. And yet there are still realms where, despite this indisputable progress that we have made, we continue to fall short of our ideals. And perhaps that's the human condition. Perhaps it is something in the human heart that means we always have to have something to strive for. It is, of course, said that man's reach must exceed his grasp, or what's a heaven for? But we still have a condition in this country where far too many Americans continue to face discrimination based not only on being poor and being rural, but also on what they look like, where they come from, how they worship, whom they love, or even something as profoundly personal and private as where they use a restroom. Our criminal justice system disproportionately affects low-income and minority communities, contributing to a stubborn and destructive cycle of poverty and incarceration. And 50 years after Gideon v. Wainwright, a person's access to justice still all too often reflects the size of their bank account. We also see that one of the cornerstones of the civil rights era, the Voting Rights Act, now faces renewed challenges. Now, all of these are challenges that the Department of Justice is taking on every day. Through lawyers in Washington and throughout this country, through strong colleagues like Willie and others, I am so proud of the headway and the change and the difference that this Department of Justice has made on these and so many other fronts. Indeed, this entire administration is committed to holding justice in its hands. But these are not challenges that can or will be solved overnight. They will persist long after this administration has left office, and history tells us that they will cycle back again in our lives. And so, graduates, soon it will be your job to address these challenges, to build upon the work of those who've gone before you, and to leave a better world for those who will follow you. That is your calling as lawyers, as those who have this profound responsibility for others. And it's your responsibility as graduates of this institution, not just to practice law, but to hold justice in your hands. And we, all of us here on this stage, welcome you both to the profession and to the fight. Because we need you. We need your strength. We need your energy. We need your talent. We need your individuality. We need your background and your perspective to lift up this noble profession of ours in the most just cause of all. Now, of course, you're here in one of the oldest and greatest cities in America. And so you know the history as well, that only almost a mile away from here, at Independence Hall, our forebears asserted that all men are created equal. And in that same place 11 years later, they established a government designed to safeguard that basic but then revolutionary principle. And those of you who visited may know that only 6 men signed both the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. And one of them, of course, was James Wilson, who delivered the first law lectures in Penn's history. Another was Ben Franklin, a well-known figure here on campus. Because, of course, when he wasn't working with electricity or deciding how to create the post office, he established this wonderful place in which we all sit today, this institution of learning. And he, of course, had a particular conception of what this institution would be. And even then, the University of Pennsylvania was a trailblazer. Even then, you all were revolutionary. Because unlike other colleges and institutions of higher learning that primarily prepared people for the clergy, Franklin wanted Penn to be a place where idealism mingled with pragmatism. He always knew that the purpose of an education was to prepare people to live in the real world and uplift real people. He wanted Penn to be a place that trained engaged citizens, thoughtful public servants, dedicated civic leaders. He must have been reading all of your applications because he has predicted all of you. He wanted Penn's graduates to involve themselves in their communities and in their country, and to devote themselves to continuing the hard work, the difficult work, the almost inconceivable work of what he and his colleagues began right here in Philadelphia. Now, of course, you have a great legacy because for so many years, Penn graduates have indeed lived up to this vision for the university and Franklin's hopes for our country. Of course, you know the stories also. Caesar Augustus Rodney. I love that name because he's the most impressively named Attorney General of the United States. He was number 6. And he undertook the first defense of striking laborers in American history. The first defense. He lost that case, but struck a blow for justice, proving again that justice is not dependent on the result or verdict of a courtroom, but in making the law real for people who need redress from harm, who need their harms protected, and who need the coverage and the promise of equality that was written down here so long ago. And of course, Sadie T.M. Alexander, a personal hero of mine, the first black woman to receive a degree from Penn Law, the second African-American woman to earn a PhD in this country, and the first president of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, a sisterhood I would join many years later. She, of course, went on to work as a civil rights advisor to President Truman, serving on the community that wrote to secure these rights, the landmark report that led to the desegregation of the federal workforce and the military. Because yes, there was a time when our own government reflected the thoughts and mores of an older generation and did not reach out and was not inclusive. Proving again that we need you, we need your energy, we need your thoughts and your talents to continue this progress and to make sure that these doors stay open. And of course, your own professor, Alan Lerner, received both his undergraduate and law degrees at Penn and was on the faculty here for 15 years, but while still a student, traveled to Mississippi as part of the Freedom Summer of 1964, literally risking his life to help black Americans win the right to vote. All of them did exactly what Ben Franklin hoped that they would do. They recognized they had a role to play in the ongoing work of aligning our reality with our ideals, making real the promise of America. They lent their talent and their vision and their energy to the ongoing task of moving this country forward. They did what they could to hold justice in their hands and to fulfill that promise made just a mile from here, the promise of liberty, justice, and equality for all. And you, all of you, now join their ranks. Now, several hundred years ago, moments before the Constitution was signed, Benjamin Franklin offered the final known speech of his long and incomparable life. And on that day, in the late summer of 1787, he said, in response to how he voted, "I agree to this Constitution with all its faults. with all its faults. Franklin knew that the work of the Constitutional Convention, however miraculous, was far from perfect. But he had faith that the generations to come, he had faith that you would come and find a way to mend those faults, to make our union just a little more perfect. And so far, we've done that. We haven't always gotten there as quickly as we want, but every day we move this country just a little bit further down that road, from Bunker Hill to Appomattox, from Seneca Falls to Selma, from the Emancipation Proclamation to the 19th Amendment, from the civil rights laws of the 1960s to Obergefell versus Hodges. We have won these and so many other victories because people of goodwill and moral conviction refused to stand aside when there was more to be done. It was the courage and commitment of ordinary Americans who made all of these things possible, and all of them turned to the law to advance these goals. All of them turned to those who would try and help them hold justice in their hands. It's the story of our past. It's also the guiding light of our present and the hope of our future. And now, graduates, that future is in your hands. Today, in just a short while, your tenure as students of the law comes to an end, and your career as stewards of justice begins. Now, the challenges before you are daunting, but I charge you to approach them with purpose and principle. I charge you to seek to always use the instruments of the law with wisdom and resolve. I charge you to hold justice in your hands. And with all that you've achieved so far, I have no doubt that you will succeed. You will make our profession stronger, and I am also certain that you will make our country stronger, more inclusive, and more just. I don't know where your dark road will be, but we will all come upon one. I don't know where your test will be, but we all have one. I don't know what your challenge will consist of, but it comes to every one of us. We don't know the moment, we cannot choose the time, we don't know the outcome. All we can do is hold to the tenets that we've learned in this great institution from your wonderful instructors and what you've learned from all of your colleagues, that we're stronger together, that moving forward is the only way, and that the goal of this country, the way to realize the promise of America, is to always, always strive to hold justice in our hands. So thank you for letting me spend a few minutes on this, what I hope is one of the greatest days of your life. Thank you for letting me spend a few minutes talking to you about something that I hold dear and love more than life itself. And let me be among the first to welcome you to this wonderful profession of ours. I cannot wait to see what you will all achieve. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Madam Attorney General. We are honored by your presence and inspired by your words. Thank you, Willie Ferrer, for your wonderful introduction. And thank you both for your inspiring example of public service through both of your careers that stand as a tremendous exemplar for our graduates today. We come now to the reason we congregate today, the awarding of diplomas to the class of 2016. I ask all of you in attendance, several hundred students will be coming across the stage. For each of our graduates and their families, this is a moment of triumph and recognition. So to all of you, please give each one of these deserving graduates the honor of your full attention and respect. Thank you. And now we begin awarding the diplomas.
Thank you, Dean Ruger, Attorney Lynch, Attorney General Lynch, excuse me, faculty, graduates, friends, and family, it gives me great pleasure to award our SJD degree today to Seung-Hoon Nam. I'm also delighted to invite the very first recipients of Penn Law's new Master in Law degree to come forward, beginning with Christine Yu Bowman. Ashwini Gokal. Narinder Gupta. Sybil Asalek. And now for those receiving the LLM degree. Maria Paula Abadia. Satoshi Abe. Aditola Adalai. Pooja Agarwal in absentia. Juan Pablo Alfolia Castilla. Magdalena Arias. Laura Barazalusa. Damien Barrier. Juan Betancourt. Emma Rose Bienvenu. Olga Birg. Asli Chaglar. Sebastian Campos. Pedro Carrasco Suarez. Rolando Castelleras Salazar. Rodrigo Castello Branco. Sienwu Cha. Jutaporn Chai de Soria. Yu Jue Chang. Devasis Chauhan. Wenwei Chen. Wenting Cheng. Ryo Chikasawa. Ryo, I think you have a guest. Vincenzo Deloso. Xiaoming Deng. Alexandra Ziki. Tarek El Erian. Pierre Alexandre Fassin. Angeles Feminia. Anna Forstel. Levd Gaft. Matthew Gale. Estelle Gontelmi Dil. Constantinos Giorgio. Maria Grijalva. Stefan Hadi. Y Ying Hsieh, in absentia, Li Ming Huang. Tengfang Huang. Wanting Huang. Wei Chen Hung. Matthew Humphreys. Dimas Indatorno. Prachi Junjunwala. Wenqing Jiang. Karen Kalia. Veronica Kapica. Dai Katagiri. With friends. Chris Adele Kaw. Susanna Kneinenberg. Shunsuke Koyama. Lawrence Kryenbuhl. Sarah Cooper. Jaewoo Kwok. Simonetta Laviana Suarez. June Boom Lee. Saren Lafive. Thomas Lettieri. Lydia Leung. Wandi Lee. Donglei Liao. Grace Lim. Valentina Lipotnikova. Chang Liu. Xin Liu. Matteo Mariano. Valerio Severo Marotta. Yuki Matsumoto. Gabriela Mena Barreto and guests. Jing Miao. Hiroyuki Natori. Afolaki Obawumni. Maria Ojeda Hamui. Mariana Pacini. Junwoo Park. Michael Podovin. Hei Chu. Xia Chu. Xiaoyu Ren. Sebastian Rizzo Davidovitz. Alonso Sandoval Arroyo. Ana Maria Satmar. Philip Scheibenflug. Takahiro Sekini. And guest. Divya Seth. Amal Sethi. Subawich Siri Kanchana. Nataporn Suwatena Pongshit. Yuki Suzuki. Yuri Takahashi. Tomoyuki Tanaka. Jun Tang. Shusaku Tatara. Zainab Tekin. Huantong Tipratana Udomsa. Manakshi Uduwela. Alejandro Vasquez. Danielle Velasquez Escobar. Friedrich Arthur von Bülow. Pumruk Wang Pridalakul. Kyung Rok Wee. Henrietta Virta. Qianlun Wu. Difei Xiao. Yimin Xue. Meng Yan. Xiaofei Ye. Luman Yu. Hengyi Zhang. Ruohao Zhang. Tengyue Zhang. Xiaotong Zhang. Yunda Zhang. Yuxi Zhang. Yifen Zhou.
Ruger, Madam Attorney General, members of the faculty, ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to present to you the JD Class of 2016. Isabel Abreu. Matthew Aiken. Sam Alicani. Heather Aliva. Marlon Ampre. Colin Anderson. Tyler Enger. Gabrielle Antonello. Alyssa Angelone Newman. Miriam Archibong. Natasha Armpriester. Kaya Arroyo. Daniel Atlas. Kelsey Avery. Wei Ning Bai. Hannah Bedard. Alexander Bedrosian. Laura Belts. Catherine Bentel. David Block. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a wonderful tradition here at Penn Law where the parents, grandparents, spouse, or faculty can present the diploma. And at this time, I'd like to call forward Nicholas Bogdanovich, class of 15, to present the diploma to his wife, Julia Bogdanovich. Marcus Brazil. Nicole Roderio. Caroline Buck. Alexander Berdulia. Marion Burke. Brett Byron. Clayton Campos. Gregory Kaplan. Garrett Cardillo. Kevin Carey. Siri Carlson. Lauren Castillo. Adam Sella. Spencer Sircone. Josephine Chen. Andrew Cherry. At this time, I ask Professor of History Thomas Childers to come forward to present the diploma to his daughter, Ava Childers. Thomas Chisana. Catherine Chu. Brent Cohen. Thomas Sophia Dye, in absentia. Andrew Dean. Kara Dermody. Kevin Dermody. Melissa DeGrande. Marissa Dorsonia. Cherish Drain. Sean Duddy. Cole Dumont. Catherine Egan. Hannah Ehrenberg. Jason Eisenberg. Stefan Asama. Nathaniel Ferris. Natalie Feigenbaum. Blaine Feinauer. John Tyler Finn. Kristen Firth. Chelsea Fish. At this time, if Jack Fitzgerald, class of '72, would come forward to present the diploma to his daughter, Jana Fitzgerald. Brandon Flock. Baron Flood. Joshua Forden. Tamara Freilich. Samuel Fullhart. Seth G. Rhea Gosh. Anthony Jin. Julie Gerard. Shyla Geary. Max Goodman. Nicholas Griffin. Philip Griffin. Grant Griffith. Sam Griffith. Alexandra Hamilton. Hyungju Han. Nathan Hancock. Sabrina Hassan. Taylor Haas Pacheco. Alyssa Helfer. Douglas Hellman. Ariel Hertzberg. Mitchell Highland. David Hill IV. Jamal Hill. Peter Hillengoss. Matthew Hildebrand. Sean Hinton. Russell Hoffman. James Hopkins. Danny Hussein. Davy Huang. Max Hume. James Wang. Stephen Yakovo. Aaron Ayanati. At this time, we call forward Laura Krista, class of '80, to present the diploma to her son, Peter Jackson. Doi Jung. Benjamin Johnson, in absentia. Beth Ann Jones. Aaron Jordan. Daniel Jordan. Rupal Joshi. Deidre Caladorian. Jonathan Kaplan. Alexander Caspary. Andrew Cadigan. Amenjot Kaur. Michael Keblish, with his 19-month-old daughter Vera, and a shout out to his 16-day-old daughter Ava. Alante Keels. Richard Keffler. Caitlin Keller. Ashley Kidd. Callie Kim. Grace Wickersham Konofchinsky. With Joseph, who is 8 months. Janice Kong. Jamin Koo. Rebecca Copland. Casey Kranig Rush. Joseph Kraus with a handful. We have Aliza 6, Shraga 5, Avichai 3, and Tahila 9 weeks. That is a tough act to follow. Laura Kravitz. Emily Castina. Rachel Kwan. Zachary Leframbras. Golda Lay. Taylor Lake. Jose Lamarique. Gabriel Lee. Jenny Lee. Evan Levine. Allison Lewandowski. Jihuk Lim. Taylor Linman. Cody Lipton. Kenneth Liswack. Andrew Lovett. Laura Louisi. Brandy Lupo. Ian Laurie, with 6-month-old daughter, Allie. Joy Lorinsky, in absentia. Connor Lynch. Elizabeth Cunningham Megan. Raul Megan. Sean Mahoney. Catherine Malecki. Peter Mardian. Christopher Martin, with his 2 children, Henry, age 3, and Katie, age 1. Jillian Martinek. At this time, we'll call forward Peter Marvin, class of 72, as well as Nancy Brockway Marvin, class of 82, to present the diploma to their son, David Marvin. Way to keep it in the family. Colin Maltichek. Whitney Mayer. Christopher Mayerfeld. Danielle McCall. Thomas McCormick. Colleen McCullough. Colin McGrath. Sean McGrath. Natalie Mencio. Adam Mendel. Marika Miguria. Samantha Miller. Dory Malazanov. Rory Moore, in absentia. John Moriarty. With his daughter Jane, who's 8 months. Victoria Morris. Stephen Morrissey. Adria Moshe. Brandon Mumby. Rohan Muraladar. Tyler Neal. David Nows. Elizabeth Olson. Joshua Oppenheimer. Gautam Patel, in absentia. Brett Pianaski, in absentia. Stephen Peterson. Alyssa Paymuller. Alyssa Perry. Zizi Petkova. Francis Petrie. Jet Puckett. David Pupkin. Brenna Rabinowitz. Richard Ragusa. Ken Rich. Kendall Rinko. Tessa Roberts. Senate Rockers. Rachel Rosenberg. Eric Rosenblum. Isaac Rosler. Giselle Rubez. Kendra Sandage. Evan Schlato, in absentia. At this time, I'd like to call forward Nathan Schwartzberg, class of 15, to present the diploma to his wife, Sandy Schlesinger. Andrew Schlossberg. Jennifer Schulte. Brett Schwab. Kyle Schwartz. Ratna Shah. Nina Shah. Sierra Shear. Sherry Shen. Sangji Shin. Danny Schulman, with his son, Raynon. Dorian Simmons. Samantha Simmons. Jacob Galler Singer. Michael Arcangelo Cirivo IV. Courtney Skorupski. At this time, if Celia Slutsky would come forward, class of 86, to present the diploma to her son, Ross Slutsky. Megan Smith. With Natalia, 4 months. At this time, if Sarah Besnoff, class of 14, would come forward to present the diploma to her husband, Eric Stahl. Daniel Stepanisic. Charles Stern, accompanied by his daughter, Allie. William Stewart. Elizabeth Steingrab. Juliana Stiles. Ryan Streit. Alexander Strohmeyer. Matthew Struble. Ashley Super. Gian Tuck. Ashley Taylor. Ebony Tinker. Travis Tipton. Kristen Trofa. Catherine Turner. Matthew Vitorla. Clara Wang. Jennifer Wang. Amanda Webb. Elizabeth Webb. Grayson Weeks. Max Weiss. Elizabeth Weissert. Douglas Wenzel. Jonathan Wheeler. Frank White. Austin Williams. Caleb Wimble. Christopher Worth. Karen Wong. Ziwei Zhu in absentia. Kai Shea. Tanya Shi. At this time, if Jordan Yarrett, class of 78, could come forward to present the diploma to his son, Roger Yarrett. Noel Yasso. Emily Yee. Christopher Yingling. Alicia Zhang in absentia. Lindsay Zients. Brittany Zoll. Neha Zubair. Lauren Zahavich. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the JD class of 2016.
Congratulations. Congratulations once more, class of 2016. And let's give one more round of applause to all the people whose love and support made this possible. Your families, your friends, your parents. Earlier this weekend, the recipient of a number of honors and graduation awards were notified of their awards by email. And while it's not our practice to make these award presentations in person, at this time, we would like to salute collectively our award recipients. By honoring you, we honor all of you, all members of the class of 2016, whose talents, dedication, and achievement you so perfectly exemplify. Now I ask all in the audience to please remain in your places until the platform party and the graduates have left the auditorium. Once more, I want to thank the Attorney General for her presence and her words today. Good luck. Good luck to all of you. I hereby declare the 2016 Commencement Convocation concluded.